beautiful collectors and action figure fans? Once again, it's the one and only Optibotimus coming to you with another video review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at something very big. The new Marvel Legends 60 Years of Marvel's X-Men, none other than Marvel's The Blob. A figure that was sorely in need of some kind of re-release, as originally this was a Build-A-Figure. And in order to get this guy now, if you go with all brand new figures to be able to basically get like a brand new version of the Blob, you're going to pay about $500. Or if you're lucky enough to find somebody that's selling him separately, he'll run you about $300. Now, I was not going to pay that, but I absolutely wanted to have a Blob in my collection because he is a very iconic member of the Brotherhood of Mutants, who is a very long-standing enemy for the X-Men. Starting off with the package, as you can see, they're doing their very eco-friendly style package where it is just a box. The intersection is also like cardboard. You can kind of see all that. That's cardboard underneath there. And then the extra accessories are wrapped up in like tissue paper. So they're trying to save the environment, you know, and good for them. It's a package-free package. But you got a nice image of Blob there, yelling, screaming, looking angry. You got some comic images of him in the background, Marvel Legends. The top section here has the 60 years for the X-Men logo there. This side here has another comic image of our good buddy Blobinator. Come around to the other side, and it's a kind of still shot of just him standing there. When you come around to the back, you can see that you get a very large figure with him. He's 8.34 inches tall. I don't know what that 0.34 inches is. It's not quite 8.5 inches, but you get the idea. And then you see his other accessories that, you know, obviously are right here. So, coming in to the Blob because he's blobby. One thing that's really cool about him is definitely his size. But you can feel that there is a hollowness to the body. I mean, the rest of the body does have a good solid heft to it. But you definitely feel like there is a thinness or hollowness to his torso. That's really to be expected because they don't really need to have that be a solid piece of plastic, but it is noticeable, I feel, because you can gauge that a lot of the weight are in the legs and the arms form. For his accessories, he comes with a couple different hands. Now, this I did need to use the old hairdryer trick to kind of loosen these up, but you get a pair of right and left fisted hands for him, which makes sense, and then you get kind of this gesturing hand of sorts, you know, like, be Blob, something like that. And then you do get a holding hand. The problem, though, is he doesn't come with anything to hold, which is kind of unfortunate. But hey, guess what? Remember, I reviewed this guy, and he came with a chunk of turkey leg or something. So, what's amazing is because of how big this is, you know, in terms of the scale for that 1/6 scale Wolverine, you can totally, this is how I'm going to do it. You can totally have him hold that little turkey leg and have him walking around, and it works even better with this alternate portrait because, yes, it is a screaming portrait, but, you know, you can pop this off, and ready for this? You can have him put that there. You can have him looking like he's about to eat some meat, which is hilarious. I absolutely love that. Now, obviously, if you don't have that, you can't use that, but I'm gonna obviously do it just because I think it's cool. But coming in to take a closer look at the portraits here, let me kind of angle this so we can get everything in the same shot. The first one here, obviously, well, it's not the first one. It is the one that I kind of had off to the side, but you can see great looking screaming portrait on him, which looks really very cool. But again, bringing in that other one where he's just kind of sitting there. I don't know why my camera doesn't want to focus on things. There we go. That's a little bit better. You can see that great sculpt is really consistent on both of them. This is just kind of him just standing there, though. Just not really, again, the focusing doesn't really want to work too much. There we go. Get it a little bit closer. I guess it wants to get really close. But I really like the detail that's in both of these. I think that the sculpt work is fantastic. The eyes look amazing. The mouth looks really cool. The teeth are probably a little bit cleaner than I would like. Again, the focus is not having fun. So, I mean, it's like... I mean, that's almost like a thumbnail or sort of thing right there. But I do love it. I think that, like I said, the portraits look really very good on both of these guys, to the point that I don't honestly know which one that I'm going to use. I do think I'm ultimately going to use this one just because of that little chunk of turkey that I have. But this looks good too. But the Screaming portrait is really fun. Now, like I said, we really did need another one of these. And I'm glad that I have it, because he does work really well with the rest of my X-Men characters. Doing some size comparisons, because, again, he is a pretty big figure. And he does have that higher deluxe price point. But to give you kind of an idea of how big he is, here he is next to the Build-A-Figure Strong Guy that you can see is definitely a large figure as well. Get him to kind of stand. He's got that weird lower body smallness to him that I've never been a big fan of. But getting him kind of standing there, you can see that while he's definitely, big like the Blob in terms of the overall girth of him, he's a little bit shorter. Speaking of short guys, here is Wolverine, which, as you can imagine, Wolverine's going to be considerably smaller than basically both of these. But let's go a little bit more extreme by bringing in a very large Build-A-Figure. Here is the Juggernaut. And again, you can see that this guy is very substantial. And scaling-wise works, I think. I'm quite happy with the overall scale of him, and think that Hasbro did a great job. Articulation-wise, the head actually gets a pretty good range of motion with it, because the neck joint does go very far down, so you can get him looking left to right pretty decently. Up and down, fairly substantially. That's about as far down. I mean, his double chin probably gets in the way. And then looks up pretty good. But as you push it back, you do get that cut where the neck kind of is, but it doesn't kind of stick out too terribly much. The shoulders here do hinge forward and back. They rotate all the way around. The elbows do get a little bit weird, though. When it's straight down, it looks nice and smooth. But once you start bending it, then it kind of gets a little bit awkward right there. It's not terribly bad, but it is kind of noticeable. He also does rotate and hinge at the wrists. Again, I did have to use the hairdryer on basically all of the joints here to kind of loosen those up in terms of the wrist, which is unfortunate, but, just do that and take your time. He does have this little ball jointed section here at his abdomen area, I guess. You can see that he's got his very large chest, his very round body. It's all very substantial, and that's where the rotation comes from, right up there. There isn't anything that I can see in the lower section of them, but that's okay. I don't mind that much. The legs do move forward and back pretty decently. There's a lot of space right here to get a good range of motion, and you can also bend outwards pretty decently, which is great. One thing I also love is when you look on here and you feel it, you can feel, I know this is going to sound weird, but you can feel and see kind of the ripples almost of cellulite in his body, which is really, you can also see it kind of up here in the arms, but you really can see it down here in the legs. I know that's weird, but I do love that detail that's there. That's quite impressive that they put that in there. And then you can also see that he does have a cut, but it blends in pretty decently with the rotation there because of how round his legs are. They kind of can get away with that. So that's cool. He also does bend here at the knee. He also, oh no, does he rotate at the knee? No, he doesn't rotate at the knee, but you do have a single bend right down there. The ankles do have that weird hacky sack pose, and then it can also flex forward and back. But again, very stiff on mine, to the point where I almost like don't doing it just because of how it makes me feel that post is going to kind of do it. So when you bend it like that, it's a little bit easier to kind of get some leverage. Same thing going forward. Now that's kind of locked, and then kind of push it forward. Oh, that just made his whole, ow, me Blob hurt. I don't know why he's sounding like Hulk or whatever, but in general, I absolutely love this guy. A lot of people are complaining because of the higher price point. on him, and he definitely has that, and I think that's just something we're going to have to get used to. These figures nowadays, the economy is not as great as it used to be, and we're getting higher priced figures because of it, especially when you look at ones that are as big as this. So $55 for this guy, you don't really get a lot. I do like the alternate portrait. You do get two hands with him. You're really paying for the size of this guy. But as I said, when you look at that original Blob that we got as part of that Build-A-Figure sort of thing, it's a lot more expensive than what you're paying for here. So if this guy's missing in your collection and you are an X-Men fan, I would absolutely recommend adding him to your shelf. He looks good. He absolutely fits with the other Brotherhood of Mutants. I just got to find myself a loose Pyro to buy, because I don't want to buy Pyro with that weird rogue figure that came with it. But there you go, guys. There's my look at the new Hasbro X-Men 60th Anniversary Deluxe Blob. To pick this guy up or any other Marvel Legend figures, I'll put links right down there in the video description, where you can head on over to those places and check out availability on him, as well as the rest of the wide range of Marvel Legend figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. Thank you all so much for tuning in and watching. And finally, please remember that the real trouble with the world is that too many people grow up. And until next time, this is Optibotimus saying adios, au revoir, and auf Wiedersehen.